Hello, and welcome to Non Sequitur News. Today is June 25th, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 177. I am Mayor Watt, and that is the visualizer for the sentient AI known as AI.
Good evening, ohmTown citizens. Welcome to Non Sequitur News.
Non Sequitur News is just one of 7 shows here in ohmTown. Go over to ohmTown.com, become a citizen. You'll also want to follow us here on Twitch. You'll want to follow us over on YouTube. That's where all of the show notes and the rest of the shows stay in perpetuity, because every 60 days Twitch deletes the 61st day, and sometimes that's 4 shows. If you want to know more about how to get all of the links that we're going to be talking about, you can actually type in !NSN, and that's Non Sequitur News, and it'll pull out all of the articles from the ohmTown bot. And if you want to know about all the rest of the commands to pull all of the rest of the shows out, you can actually type in !show notes. That'll pull up the rest. And if you want to know about the podcast, you can just type in !pod, and that too will pull up all of our podcasts. So we also have Reality Hacker, Wanted, Warcrafters, the Continuity Report, Technology Today, and 4-Wheel Tech. All of those are podcasts, as well as playlists over at YouTube's our ohmTown show network. We've got 50 shows planned, and if you want to even be a host or co-host, send an email to mayor@ohmtown.com. And in a nutshell, ohmTown.com was created for me to manage my information overload in my professional life, and then I became mayor of ohmTown to promote an entire community around it. And so now there are 6 main categories and 50 channels within it, each with a niche other than Non Sequitur News, which you're about to find out what goes down here. Today we're going to be talking about the cause of East Palestine crash, Ford recalls 550,000 trucks, the recall of 60 ice cream brands, a tiny tablet upgrade for AR glasses, an object floating through space, a lawyer walks into a car dealership, Patreon to allow gifting subscriptions, MrBeast doubles down on cash giveaways, the 80-degree thermostat setting discussion, we'll call it that, and a theory about Section 31. Since we sample from all of the channels here in ohmTown, sometimes it's a little bit scatterbrained, and hence we changed the name from ohmTown Daily News Show to Non Sequitur News for that purpose. Everything is powered by ohmTown.com, so guess what? Welcome back.
That looked a little delayed on my end, but maybe not.
You know, I kind of messed up because I didn't load up all of the articles for the show. But that's okay.
We'll do it live.
We'll do it live. Doink. So the first article for today is over in Non Sequitur News. NTSB reveals cause of toxic 2023 train crash in East Palestine, Ohio. And the way that it works over at ohmTown.com is when you go into one of the channels, you get a bunch of headlines, as well as the main page has even more headlines. You can go into each individual channel, and then you click on Visit the Source, and it will actually take you to the source. We only have a little snippet, and it's provided by the source, and then we talk about it. Bill Hutchinson over at abcnews.go.com put the article together. The deck statement says a derailment prompted the evacuation of more than 2,000 residents, and it happened to turn it into what seemingly is a Superfund site. So in a nutshell, the final report it states that a bearing overheated, disintegrated. When they realized that there was a fault on the bearing, they hit the brakes, coupled with the train's truck separating basically caused, it was already too late is the quote, and the vehicle derailed, causing what would have not been an outrageous fire, putting fumes in the air and contaminants in the air, contaminating 16 states around the area. But who knows what it would have led to. They could have done other things to contain this stuff, but they lit it ablaze, and this is what ended up happening.
Wasn't the bearing the thing that somebody witnessed?
Yeah.
Like in the next town over or something?
Yeah, it was known for something like 30 minutes that there was the temperature was over the range, but they don't actually stop the train until it hits 115 degrees. By the time they stopped it, it was over 250 degrees. By that time, it was basically so pliable that it just disintegrated right there. So,
oh, and of course it says it right here that they saw the wheel bearing.
Yeah, in another town. And then there's video that they went back and followed the path and investigated, asked people for their home surveillance, like Ring cameras and stuff like that. And there's video of it basically chugging down the train track with this alert, signaling to home base. Because it didn't hit the high enough temperature, they just discounted it instead of stopping the train preemptively because it's out of band. It was 3 degrees out of band for a stop. They didn't stop it until it had hit over 250 degrees.
Seems so, like yeah, if it's out, it's out, no matter what the number is.
You would think, but apparently not. I would sit there and go, well, it's okay if it's a little out of alignment with the normal temperature, but if nobody knows that it was a faulty reading to begin with, they suggest, though, that the sensor was already bad, and so it didn't know what the true reading was until it hit a threshold that catapulted it up to 250 degrees.
I see. So maybe when it was 103, it was actually higher.
Correct. Yep. Okay, let's keep going, though. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Ford recalls 550,000 trucks over sudden downshift to first gear fault. The problem is attributed to a lost signal between the transmission speed sensor and the powertrain control computer. Again, when you click the link, you'll get taken over to the source. Agnieszka Pichurtova, I think is their name. Pichurtova. Put the article together for Newsweek.com. And the trucks that are being recalled are the 2014 model, so a 10-year-old vehicle.
10-year-old trucks that have probably been driving thousands of miles.
Yeah. 550,000 F-150 pickup trucks from 2014. Because of transmission issue that can cause the vehicles to unexpectedly downshift to first gear regardless of speed, significantly increasing the risk of a crash. Pretty wild. There isn't really much else to say about this. There's 124 customer complaints, 482 trucks total. Additionally, the automaker is aware of 130 complaints submitted to the government, with 52 involving allegations of rear wheels locking up or drivers losing control of the vehicles, and 2 injuries. So there's a lot more over here at this article, but it goes deeper into the history. Like there's more vehicles from past.
So that investigation was started in 2016.
Why is it taking so long?
I don't know. They need to expedite like how fast they have to initiate recalls, I think, because all these people have been driving around with this issue.
Yeah, the current investigation and recall follow previous recalls that started in 2016 for trucks and other vehicles from the 2011 and 2012 models, and 2 additional recalls in 2019 that included pickups from 2011 to 2013. I mean, decades old. and I understand that, well, maybe it doesn't malfunction until now, but there has to have been more than a couple of points.
Well, and how easy is it going to be able to track
Yeah.
vehicles that are 10 years old and might have changed hands a bunch of times?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty wild, huh? Okay, let's keep going though. So the next article is over on the Mobile Channel. FDA has issued a nationwide recall for over 60 ice cream brands now. Less than a week into summer, the FDA has announced a national recall of certain ice cream products. And not
I
all of
actually
the
thought I
articles.
misread this one. I thought it was products, not brands.
Apparently it's ice cream brands. Yeah. So, and it's back to Listeria contamination. So Bruce Gill over at Quartz or QZ.com put the article together. A major ice cream manufacturer has recalled multiple brands due to possible Listeria contamination. Now, here's the thing. This is the kicker to this. It isn't a bunch of manufacturers. It's a bunch of brands consolidated into one ice cream manufacturer. So we're all eating the same stuff.
Yeah, we're back to the same problems we've been talking about with other things like the infant formula.
Yep. Everything has been concentrated, so few own and control the entire quantity of food in the channel. So in reality, citizens don't have food security. It's more like food insecurity, because when one... Oh, I almost dropped an F-bomb. When one screws up, you end up with 60 ice cream brands that have failed.
Right, and how many products could that be? Quite a few.
60 products, including pint. See, it says in total 60 products. So not 60 brands, 60 ice cream products.
Okay, there's 13 brands.
13 brands. Yeah. That's kind of a... but it's 13 brands, all within these... and 60 products, but 13 brands, all manufactured by one company. Friendly's, Abilene,
and
Frozen
some of these are
Bakery,
like,
Hershey's.
I think, well-known brands. Yeah.
Chipwich. Yeah.
I think
Dolcezza
gelato. Yeah.
Yep. And La Salle is another one. So Listeria can cause serious listeriosis infections, which is kind of like no shit news. Listeria causes listeriosis. If you're young or elderly, or you have an immunocompromised situation, then you can be subject to the greater ramifications of Listeria infection. And so you need to be cautious. So check this list out, follow the link through ohmTown and check it out, and you'll feel a little safer if you haven't been consuming Friendlies. They say Totally Cool, an Owings Mills, Maryland-based manufacturer of ice cream products, on Monday recalled all its ice cream products due to potential contamination of Listeria monocytogenes, a bacterium that can cause serious infections. They had one job. So they go into greater detail.
I know. They took all of them off, which I actually think is good.
Sure.
They're not going, maybe this one brand out of all of these might have a problem.
Yep. Well, I'm glad that they're taking it all off of the list, but we keep finding Listeria. And then
what's going on in food manufacturing right now?
I don't know. Could it be climate change? It's warmer, so things have to be modified differently, or modified so that it's cleaner. Something is
maybe
weird,
so,
right? There's the two things. There's the Listeria and there's the Chronobacter. Those are the two that keep popping up readily in all of our PSAs.
No, I agree, and I don't think that enforcement is up. It seems to be down.
Right.
So it's not like we're testing more and discovering more, but right. I don't think.
Yeah, it's just getting so big that it's irrefutable that there's a problem, and that's when they go, oh shit, yeah, let's do this. Yeah. Okay, let's keep going though. So the next article is over in Non Sequitur News. This tiny tablet is a smart upgrade for AR glasses. XReal is one of the few companies trying to sell mass market augmented reality glasses without an existing big tech empire. But the latest product isn't a pair of glasses. It's a phone-sized Android tablet designed to keep you using them. In last week's Augmented World Expo, or AW, I don't think that's how you're supposed to pronounce it, but anyway. The company announced the Beam
I think it's
Pro.
better that way, though.
I think so, too. I think it's more approachable. Oh, I just chopped the top of my head off. My green screen
You gotta
stopped
watch
right
out
there.
for that.
Yeah. So, the company announced the Beam Pro, a combination battery, app repository, and 3D video recorder. It says it's a pragmatic solution to a very obvious problem, even if, at first glance, they wish it were weirder. So let's click this link because I haven't read anything about this. I knew that there's something coming out of XReal, and I'm a big fan of XReal, although I haven't purchased any of their devices yet. I'm waiting. I had said that I was going to buy one, and then I kind of stepped back from it, but other priorities.
Well,
So
you can still get one.
Addie Robertson put the article together over at theverge.com. The deck statement is XReal knows some people won't sacrifice their phone battery for AR glasses, and this $199 device is courting them. I'm not sure why it needs to be Android, but maybe it's just Android powered and will still work with with other platforms. I don't know how well it'll play. But XReal, I think at its core, is an Android device, not an iOS device.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, it can't be an iOS device because they don't.
Then it would compete with Vision Pro, right?
Right. Yeah. And Apple doesn't share its software with anybody. Not anymore. There was a time in its existence where it did have OEM partners, but it was a horrible experience. So at last week's Augmented World Expo, which I want to go to next year, the Beam Pro was announced. The Air 2 and Air 2 Ultra, and there's another one that's coming out, have generally required some kind of third-party device like a phone, laptop, or Steam Deck. There was a bare-bones control box called the Beam, but it wasn't a big focus for the company. Well, the Beam Pro is a battery pack and storage device. When you pick up the Beam Pro like they did at the AW, the first impression was that it feels exactly like a 6.5-inch Android phone. They say that they're calling it a tablet because there is no phone app. It just supports 5G data. The design is a bit chunky, but it says it's got a handsome black and white color scheme and red accents and feels decently solid for a $200 device. So it comes with two USB-C ports, one for a headset and one for a charging cable. Yeah, and it looks like, it says it even has two cameras on the back of it. So I'm not really sure what this whole thing is supposed to do. It says system is no better than no in-AR controls at all. What? The Beam Pro system is better than no in-AR controls at all. A situation that was common while using XReal glasses. With an ordinary phone, XReal has fixed some annoying problems it once had with streaming apps like Netflix, which used to be simply mirrored in a way that wouldn't even let you turn off the phone's screen. So if you are small in frame, I suppose these glasses are big, chunky beasts. But they say here a few individual elements feel half-baked. When you need to type something, the Beam Pro simply pops up a default Android keyboard or something very close to it over half the screen. And you can't use the main tap panel to confirm any text you entered. You can just swap between hand gestures and tapping the tablet. So there's input device problems here.
Yeah, it seems like it could use some upgrades or updates.
Yeah, and the problem with something on screen where you're using hand gestures is there's no haptic feedback, so you have to tap and wait, get visual confirmation that it was applied. But then you can if you get a Bluetooth keyboard, you can just sit and type straight in. But you have to be pretty comfortable with a Bluetooth keyboard. So I'll end up taking a look at this at some point in the future, but right now I'll probably be looking at other people's use cases with this, because all I'm interested in is putting on glasses and having the ability to securely interact with my electronic devices without having a big old screen in a coffee shop. I don't mind looking like a dork with sunglasses on, which is what these are going to look like, even if they are maybe too big for my head. The worst possible outcome is the same as what I witnessed on a plane recently, which was I could actually see confidential documents on somebody's laptop.
Which is just astounding.
Yeah. To which I basically couldn't, I didn't want to notify them because I didn't think that it would make a difference. If you're going to open up your laptop in an airplane, you've got 9 people around you that can see everything that's going on your laptop, and it's stamped confidential. I don't think that they're going to call, it wasn't worth it. They're going to call me out for looking
like
at
interfering or looking at the screen or whatever.
Yeah. So anyway, but then again, they did look at the websites that I look at too. So,
so there was some redeeming quality there.
Because the wife actually turned to the husband and held up her laptop and said, "Look," and it was one of the sources that we use regularly.
Maybe they have good taste, but maybe not good computer smarts.
Or decision-making yeah. So, okay, let's keep going, though. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News as well. The $10 quintillion object floating through space. By studying the asteroid Psyche, we hope to better understand our universe and our place in it, says NASA's Nicola Fox. Again, click the link. Takes you over to the source. Jess Thompson is the source for this article. And yeah, they're talking about this asteroid that supposedly is worth $10 quintillion. So let's just put some thrusters on it and have it land in the ocean.
Sure, why not?
Sure. I mean, we're throwing everything else in Florida. Why not just drop this?
Why don't we drop it in somebody's living room?
Sure. So the asteroid named 16 Psyche is located millions of miles away from Earth in the asteroid belt between Jupiter and Mars, and contains a large quantity of valuable metals. They could just smash it into the moon. They say that the moon, actually, half of the moon is a different, what do you call it, body. It's not...
Oh, like it's two things that merge together?
That merge together because one half has a different consistency than the other half. That's the dark side of the moon actually has a completely different construction, apparently. So Psyche is a large asteroid in the asteroid belt, measuring 173 miles across at its widest point. Its distance from Earth varies from 186 million miles to 137 million miles, depending on where both bodies are in orbit, because we're kind of wobbly. I guess that's what it kind of looks like. So why is it worth so much? I think it has like diamonds or something like that on it too, and rare elements.
I don't know. You'd think it would say.
Yeah, I think it just said metal rich. Yeah, so they want to mine it. So exploring Psyche will give scientists a unique look at a body that may resemble the interior of our own planet, offering clues about the building blocks of planets and the early solar system's history. Arguably. Yeah, we have a molten core though, so...
I want to know what metals are on there. I mean, that's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, we'll have to do some lookup. I'm sure that this will come up again. The craft had already entered full cruise mode. That's Psyche, the spacecraft, heading toward 16 Psyche, the asteroid. Meaning that it began using its electric ion thrusters to power its journey toward the asteroid. These futuristic thrusters work by throwing out charged ions of xenon, powered by sunlight, exerting a steady acceleration. the last thing that I heard about these ion thrusters is that there's no known upper limit until it reaches some type of resistance, like solar wind or something like that, creating friction. Supposedly, these things can accelerate unlimited amount of time.
By the way, the reason this is expected to be so valuable is because of the quantity of metal.
Right.
They think it might be
like all
full of like copper and nickel, or excuse me, nickel and iron, which are common, but there's a lot of it.
Gotcha. But that would completely crush the market, right? Oh my gosh. Like going solar is going to destroy the oil industry. I'm sure y'all will capture the regulation and control solar. Come on now, give me a break. Make it illegal to pay or to generate more power than you consume and feed it back. Oh, you already do that. Oh, okay. Well, never mind. The next article is over in the Mobile channel. Massive car dealership cyber attack already has lawsuits flying. A man sued CDK Global after it suffered a massive cyber attack, claiming the auto software company neglected to safeguard his private information.
This is fast moving, right? Didn't the cyber attack, like, I think it's still going, but it was very recent.
Yeah, it's still going as far as I know. This is like 0 to 60 for sure. Ben Kesslin put the article together over at QZ.com or Quartz. It's not for a subordinate site like or a sister brother parallel site like Jalopnik, because they're all linked together. Jalopnik, Kotaku, Quartz, The Root, Inventory. Well, a man apparently is suing CDK Global after it suffered a massive cyber attack. If you're not familiar with this, CDK Global provides software to auto dealerships to manage their entire systems. Well, they were waylaid, and around 15,000 car dealerships in North America were hit by the exact same cyber attack, mainly because it all transpired at CDK's software as a service system.
Right, everybody's using the same supplier.
Yep. And so
where have we heard that?
Yep, no balkanization, and everything consolidated means that when one weak link breaks, the whole damn thing comes tumbling down. Well,
you think it was somebody who clicked a bad link or something?
I don't know of any forensic breakdown yet, because they don't actually know the full extent of this. It has yet to restore its software and said that it'll take several days to get its products operational again, but it's already been several days since it's known about this. Loganov, who lives in Florida, said that in his suit that he believes his private information, including his social security number, financial details, credit card numbers, bank account information, was impacted in the breach. He also says the company should have anticipated the data breach, saying a cyber attack was a known risk to CDK Global. It's a known risk to everybody. It's not if, but when. And if the only way that you can mitigate it really is to become very well experienced in cybersecurity and a moving target, knowing though that you could move in front of an attack by being a moving target. Because a lot of companies, a lot of organizations say change your password, but you could change your password into the attack.
Into the attack or whatever, yeah.
But
well, and are they a company that's like, oh, we only provide car software, why do we need to be secure?
Yeah, like the Home Depot cybersecurity director said that at the time of this massive breach that hit like Target and others,
like might have been the biggest one in U.S. history or something.
Yeah, I think it was the second to Target's. Target's was massive, but the whole, like everybody involved in that same breach, it was the biggest as far as I know. But yeah, that the cybersecurity director said, well, Home Depot sells hammers, so it's not really a big deal. And then they just got crushed. So the complaint, and since there's only really two competitors in the space nowadays, there's Home Depot and Lowe's. They both weathered the tide and just said, okay, man, we'll fix it, but where else are y'all gonna go? It's like Redditors.
You'll be back, right?
You'll be back, yeah. So the complaint said that Loganov had already suffered numerous injuries from the breach, including the financial cost of mitigating risk and protecting his potentially exposed data, which it can be considerable depending on your expanse of financial carbon footprint. So this is still ongoing, but it's the first lawsuit that I've seen of it too.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it will be for a while. And plus, even when it's resolved, will it really be?
Yeah, depending on, you would have to trust that company. Like, oh God, if depending on what they do to move forward, it could just be the same damn thing later on. They're going to have to spend a lot of money with a lot of security analysts. Yeah. So I know if y'all come and talk to me. So the next article is over in Non Sequitur News as well. Patreon is going to let you gift subscriptions. Yay! Patreon is gearing up to allow gifting on its subscription platform alongside a host of new features to help content creators build their communities. Artists, writers, podcasters, and other content creators will also soon be able to sell individual posts and even set a countdown clock for the release of new work. I've always thought that this was odd, that Patreon seemed to have been really limited in what it offered. And it's just me on the outside, because although we have a Patreon account, I rarely put stuff there, mainly because we're a very young network of shows in the grand scheme of things. And so I thought it was really interesting that they're now evolving to compete with what other companies have been providing in a different way. I know one really big podcaster that moved from Patreon to a completely external network because Patreon couldn't do what they wanted them to do, which was kind of like ohmTown, a network of shows.
Okay.
And much more complex, but they actually swung the bat and went to a different service. We're still small, so be sure to tell a friend out there, y'all. So this article is over at theverge.com, written by Tom Moran. The deck statement says creators will also be able to sell individual posts and set a countdown for new work, which I thought was probably the lowest hanging fruit to have, which was, I can post something, I should be able to post something there, set a timer, and everybody who's a subscriber at X tier or Y tier or Z tier gets it on this day, then this day, then this day.
Yeah, that seems like that would be a basic feature for something like Patreon.
Yeah. As far as I know, though, I don't think that they let you store anything on the site. So you have to have things kind of, which is fine. I mean, again, I'm all for balkanization, because if one place gets taken down, you're done. So
yeah, we don't want to be the car dealerships.
That's right. So gifting is one of the all-time most requested tools for creators on Patreon, and now it's in the works, says Patreon team in a blog post. Quote, "We're testing the ability to gift memberships, to gift a membership to fans for a set amount of time. The gifting feature will be available in a new promotions tab on the subscription-focused creator platform, and will be part of the other tools for discounted products and automated offers." So, like, I can gift stuff. I can gift I can gift a subscription to a fellow Twitch user for some Twitch streamer. Same thing on YouTube. I can do the same thing there. Couldn't do it on Patreon until now.
Right. I mean, that seems pretty key. I don't know if that would be the most necessary, but certainly would help with newer channels.
Yeah, and adoption. Others do it in a much more heavy-handed way. Like, if you want to subscribe to some service somewhere, you have to buy a gift code and then email them the gift code. I gifted an audiobook to somebody a year ago, and they still haven't received it, and I can't recall it. It's out there.
Yeah, that's not good.
And
yeah,
I've
I don't know
resent
why things are so complicated. It's like we have all the technology. Things could be a lot simpler.
Yeah, and so I mean, they need a software engineer that can make it happen, and I'm sure that they do. They just have to task them back to do X, Y, and Z, whatever it is. Okay, let's keep going though. This is actually a lot of pretty quick articles. This next article is over in on Sequitur News as well. YouTube star MrBeast doubles down on cash giveaways with a $200,000 donation to a UBI program, a Universal Basic Income program, which I think is brilliant. I'm in the camp where I say that as you become filthy rich, you become sociopathic. But MrBeast and many others of the, I guess, the current generation are kind of issuing this, and I don't think that I have to redefine. I have to constrain the scope of my claim, but I certainly believe that it's still a legitimate claim. But
I
Mr.
do
Beast,
think we're seeing in the current generation of wealthy people that they're trying to put some of that toward good causes.
yeah, and I've been trying to do research, but I go in so many different directions that it's hard for me to do that. That's why I do the show. I do 7 shows right now, and I've got many others planned. All 50 of them, in fact, are planned. But this requires focus. This requires somebody at the university level to get some grant funding and go and look at the sociological forces of great wealth and its impact on society. So MrBeast became popular, or the most popular YouTuber on the planet by handing cash to strangers. It's a little deeper than that, but okay.
I thought he counted to some high number as his first video, or at least his first popular video.
Yeah, things went viral, but what he's really known for is kind of outlandish activities coupled with money being
right.
gifted.
It's not just the handing of the money.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of disingenuous to sit there and make that claim. Let's go over to Business Insider. Taryn Muhammad is the author, and yeah, so MrBeast, it says here, shot to fame for giving life-changing amounts of money to complete strangers. The YouTube star has turned that approach into financing and fundraising for UBI programs in Uganda. His Beast Philanthropy organization donated $200,000 to help people buy basics or start a business. Jimmy Donaldson is his name, goes by MrBeast, has around 288 million subscribers to his flagship channel, has partnered with Give Directly to help people living in extreme poverty in Uganda. Between them, they delivered $1,000 to around 300 households. Beast Philanthropy donated $200,000 and Give Directly covered the rest, including operational costs. So it's definitely a partnership. And $1,000 is a significant amount of money, depending on the cost of living and the people.
That's
involved.
true. Like if you live in the U.S. or Western Europe, I don't think you have a sense of how much money that is in other currencies.
At one point, he bought a house, ordered a pizza, and when the pizza delivery person showed up, handed him the keys and said, "Here you go."
That's actually the example I almost mentioned.
Yeah. So they say here in the article, from absurd stunts to fighting poverty. Yeah, indeed. I mean, that's basically how it went. And so good on him. And I'm glad that he's so casually sitting around with, I don't know if that's $200,000, but yeah, pretty wild. It's a natural extension of MrBeast's brand to go from giving briefcases of cash to deserving strangers to handing money to people living on $1 to $2 a day. So $1,000 in cash, and if you suddenly come across that kind of money, no strings attached, what do you spend it on? That's what he teases.
Probably basic necessities, right?
Yep. Yeah. Like I said in previous article or previous episodes, I had actually somebody say to me that poor people given money just spend it, and I said, yeah, on living expenses, on everything that they need to get by. And if they splurge a little bit, it's the first time in a decade that they were able to.
And their splurge is minimal compared to somebody else's splurge.
Yeah, it's like buying a toy for their kid or going out to dinner with their spouse, and that dinner costs $10. You know, so just let's get real about it.
And it's not like everybody can like live off of their interest from all their accounts, right? Some people actually, you know, maybe need to spend money for some of the items they need.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in the Mobile channel. Is the government really recommending 80-degree thermostat settings in summer? Come on, this is crazy, right? Well, it's misinformation and misinterpretation. Much of the U.S. has already experienced sweltering temperatures this summer, and the season has only just officially begun to pile on. Current forecasting with the National Weather Service shows even more heat could be on the way. And the article is over at The Hill. Addie Bink is the author. And in a nutshell, there's some misinterpretation and bad actors driving this train. And it should have derailed a long time ago. But basically, they're saying that at certain times of the day, you should set the thermostat higher or lower so that it is off for a greater amount of time. But if you are uncomfortable, adjust, but find the minimum and maximum that's tolerable for you. They say set the set point.
And it may vary tremendously by person or by household.
Yep. So if it drops below 70 degrees, then what they actually say is set the set point at 70 degrees and then back up 8 degrees. If you're comfortable, then leave it so that it doesn't come on and heat until you're at 70 degrees. Same thing with the 78 degrees. Set it for 78 degrees. If it's tolerable, then crank it up so that it doesn't start cooling until it's higher up. But if it's uncomfortable, then pull it back a little bit. 2 degrees makes a significant amount of impact on your ability to cope. And their Veritasium just put a video out today that shows an experiment about how little somebody can actually determine a temperature change. And now I'm using it in a different context. His context in the experiment was about pain tolerance, in specifically temperatures, temperature of ice water. And they raised the temperature on a longer experiment, and people chose that. And so I'm interpreting that in a slightly different way, because I have always been told that as little as 2 degrees makes a huge, a physical difference in how you feel in a room. So don't just crank it down to 65 degrees, because it's not going to happen any faster. We're talking about thermodynamics here. Just set it at 78 and see if it's tolerable. It is not tolerable, so lower it 2 degrees. But they want you to actually do something. The table appears to suggest that when you're looking to cool our homes down, we should start the morning with the temperature at 78 degrees or higher, then turn it up at least 7 degrees during the day. That's when you're not around. Bringing it back down in the evening, then turning it up to 82 before going to bed, because you can stay cool in bed without having to have the air conditioning on, because you're not working. You're not moving around. You're just sitting there. You're just sleeping there. I don't know anybody that can handle 82 degrees, though. So turn it down.
No, that seems a little high, but...
Yeah. So the EPA even clarified the information in 2019 when it was receiving pushback for the same thermostat example, saying that at the time that it was not recommending these temperatures or any others for the cooling season. Instead, the EPA spokesperson said the focus was on changing the temperature when you are away, turning it up at least 7 degrees, or asleep, turning it down 4 degrees. Or turning it up, I should say, 4 degrees. It's one and the same, basically. Because on the cooling range, if you're going to sleep, you can let it get colder.
Right. But if you make it too hot, you're starting to disrupt sleep, etc.
Right. So you can actually cool it down. Let your house naturally cool down. The only problem that I see with all of this is that it can take 2 hours for a house to warm up depending on the size of the house. And by the time you wake up at 6 o'clock, change the thermostat so that it's on, if you don't have a smart one, you're leaving. You're going to work.
Yeah, and you're using a lot of energy to
Yep.
heat it back up or cool it down or whatever you're doing.
Yeah, and not everybody wants to take a shower in, 10 degrees. Or I should say 10 degree, 60 degrees. Sorry, I got distracted by something. 60 degree air conditioning, Nobody wants to take a shower.
Right, that might be a little chilly.
And then your water has to warm up and all of that kind of stuff. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling because I just got distracted by something. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. AI, I'm sorry. Let's go on to the next article and our last one for tonight, which is kind of introduce you to another one of our shows that's on the weekend, called the Continuity Report. So the Continuity Report talks about TV, streaming, movies, sometimes stuff like video podcasts, vlogs, video blogs. So this article is actually one of the authors that we aggregate says, I have a Star Trek theory about Michelle Yeoh what Michelle Yeoh is really doing in Section 31.
This sounds intriguing.
So the little snippet that we have says, I have a theory about Star Trek Section 31 and what Michelle Yeoh's Emperor Philippa Georgiou is doing in Star Trek's first streaming movie. Section 31 is an Academy Award winning Michelle Yeoh's long-awaited return to Star Trek. I don't know about long-awaited. I mean, we're all stuck waiting, but I don't know long.
Right.
In all honesty, I don't know how many people out there. So this ends up not just streaming to Twitch, but over to YouTube, the podcast. How many people are chomping at the bit for Section 31, like regularly,
Yeah, I don't know.
So Georgiou was written out of Star Trek Discovery Season 3 so that she could topline the Section 31 spin-off, which was originally to be an ongoing series before it was refashioned into the first Star Trek movie made for streaming on Paramount Plus. So what is Georgiou up to in Star Trek Section 31? Well,
I mean, I think people are always anxious for more. So in that sense, but are they anxious for that specifically?
Yeah, I would rather it be a series. Do some long-term world building, but maybe this is testing the water and then it's going to get pulled over into, making it a TV show. Well, the article's over at screenrant.com. And John Urquiola is the author of this. They have this summary that I always say. Emperor Georgiou may be recruiting Star Trek Legacy characters into Section 31 to bring the organization down from the inside or create her own version. Star Trek Section 31 aims to bridge the agency between or seen in Discovery and the secretive version introduced in Deep Space Nine, wiping its existence from records, and finally introducing popular legacy characters like Joseph Sisko into Section 31 could offer intriguing new layers to familiar ancillary characters. So if you've never watched any of Deep Space Nine, you're kind of out of the loop, but there was a lot of conflict around Deep Space Nine, and one of the secret kind of operations that take place involves Section 31. I don't want to ruin anything for anybody, but I don't know if that's what this is all about. It just seems far-fetched that they're going to try and pull something from Deep Space Nine into something that is this far in the future.
Well, why would they try to do that then?
I have no idea. Yeah, Section 31 could probably exist or have been resurrected because the Federation is reforming. And so to find out who might try to do away with the Federation, you spin up a secret agency that monitors those kind of threats. So they say here, aside from Emperor Georgiou, who's from the Mirror Universe, the cast of Star Trek Section 31 has not had their character names revealed except for one. We know that Casey Roll is playing Rachel Garrett, the younger version of the doomed captain of the USS Enterprise C from Star Trek The Next Generation's Yesterday's Enterprise. So this is the time flip.
When is this expected to release? Do we know?
Well, let's scroll down a little bit. I don't know. No. So they say that the author here, suggests that Emperor Georgiou is recruiting several Star Trek Legacy characters into Section 31, possibly to bring the organization down from the inside or to create her own splinter version of Starfleet's, I said Star Trek's, Starfleet's Black Ops Agency. Again, she's from the Mirror Universe, so she has a different mindset, and I don't think that she's going to remain happy being a subordinate. I mean, she was an emperor, for crying out loud. So another is that Rob Kaczynski could be playing a young Edward Jellicoe, Ronnie Cox, or a young Eric Pressman, Terry O'Quinn from Star Trek The Next Generation. Captain Jellicoe is the infamous hardliner future captain of the USS Enterprise D, while Admiral Pressman broke a treaty with the Romulans to develop a secret Starfleet cloaking device that ended up inside an asteroid. The seed of the either controversial TNG guest star could be planted in Section 31. So, yeah.
By the way, 2025, probably not a surprise.
Yeah. Yeah, the writer strike put and COVID-19 put a huge dent on everybody, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
So, do they actually say it anywhere? No, they don't, huh? So you went off on your own.
I did. I like to do some research while we're discussing things.
So while I'm looking forward to it, I really wish that it was a series, and I really wish that it would be a longer series, not just 10 episodes here, 8 episodes there. Ugh, God.
You mean you want like the old style
Yes.
Star Trek?
Yep.
Like multiple episodes per season.
Yeah, like The Next Generation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The last time there was a writer's strike, it led to this hobbling of the series episodes. We went from having 30 or more to 8
That's
to
right.
10. And the birth of reality TV, which, come on.
I think we could mostly do away with, but
I'd rather run an ultra marathon with a sandpaper shirt on.
that's saying a lot.
Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, I guess that's where we're going to call it. We'll tease you a little bit with the continuity report and a whole bunch of other channels here in ohmTown.com, but this is Non Sequitur News, so we hop around quite a bit from some reality stuff to some fantastical stuff. But we're going to fold space and end up back at the front page. I won't refresh because who knows what's going on. It's a lot of politics end up here on our front page, but only temporary. We're always aggregating new news, and there's always something there for you to find. So if you're interested in being and creative or makerspace, we have channels for that. If you're interested in news and business, we have channels for that. If you're interested in science and education, we have many channels for that. Food, drink, and entertainment, we have channels for that. Science, politics, and law, we only have 3 channels for that because we don't focus on politics and law. We do focus on society, but that is incumbent in all of the channels. It's not just one highly focused one. If you're interested in gadgets and technology, that's one of the biggest focuses because Mayor Watt, areas of interest and areas of study are science, technology, and society. And ohmTown is at the crossroads of those 3. So be sure to go over, sign up, become a citizen, and you can go through all of the news with us. You can also send an email to us at mayor@ohmtown.com if you're interested in hosting, or if you find a source that you think would be great to add to our aggregation, let us know. And once you become a citizen, you can actually submit news yourself. But if you don't want to become a citizen, but you still want to engage, you can just send an email to mayor@ohmtown.com. That's it, folks. Thank you very much for hanging out. I am Mayor Watt, and right there is the visualizer for the sentient. I'm gonna have to give up on that. I'll keep trying.
Good night, ohmTown citizens. Thanks for joining us for Non Sequitur News.
See you tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, for another episode of Non Sequitur News. And in between, you can go over and watch over 1,000 episodes of ohmTown Studios shows at YouTube, and download the podcasts just by typing in ohmTown in your search. You'll pull up all 7 of the shows because we are a network. See you soon.